Hey guys, it's Adolph with Table Flippers, and today we're going to talk about a programming game. Ugh, I know. I don't like programming games. I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't like games where I can plan out my entire move and have somebody screw up my whole turn. But this is probably one of my favorite programming games. It's a game that I look forward to playing. It's called Lords of Xidit, and it's a 3 to 5 player programming pick up and deliver game. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. Alright, so inside the box for Lords of Xidit, first thing that we see is an instruction guide on how to put together the programming pieces. Ooh, exciting. Then we also get this totally unnecessary, mostly useless map of the land of Xidit. I don't know why they included this. It's a nice touch, I guess, for flavor, but don't need it. Then we get the rulebook. Cool rulebook. Same, nice pages, color pictures, glossy, all that good stuff. Diagrams to show when to do certain things. So yeah, good rule book. No complaints there. Now, we get this board. It's a big, oversized board. It's really big. Way bigger than you think it's going to be. Ugh. Look at this board. That's huge. Yeah, we'll look at that more in depth later. But it's a big board. And the board's double-sided, and it has this on the back. Why? Because they can. That's why. And it actually has the outline of the real board behind it. You can't use it to play, but I guess it's a nice touch. Overproduced, I guess, is the word that we're going to use for that. Unnecessarily overly produced. But, hey, I'd rather it be overproduced than underproduced. We get this tracker for if you play a 3-player game. This is a strange game where if you only play 3 players, you still have to have a ghost player. So that's how you keep track of what the ghost player is doing. Then we get 5 different player colors. We get blue, green, black, there it is, red, and yellow. You get a whole bag of these little character things, which kind of take the place of wooden cubes in this game. They very well could have been wooden cubes, but again, this game is overproduced, so they have little plastic minis for the people, which is cool. Then you get 5 of these. You get 5 of these programming player boards, and they all spin like that. That's how you program your moves. And you get 5 of those in each of the player colors: green, black, yellow, red, blue, and green, black, yellow, blue, and red. Then you get all these discs to represent the monsters in the game. And you get player shields for each of the player colors. Some more monster tokens. And cardboard coins. And this thing, I'll go into more depth later. That's pretty cool. And wooden pawn to keep track of the turns. And these little markers to show what goals the game will be going for. Alright, so you get a lot of stuff inside this box. Let's take a look and see how the game is played. Alright, so here we are set up for a 4-player game of Lords of Xidit. I have the green, the yellow, the red, and the blue players set up here. The board is set up easily. We have the round marker on spot 1, obviously, because it would be the first turn. We have a huge pool of the plastic people. We have a pool for the gold. And we have out on the board 5 monsters, which are the white-sided tokens, and we have 5 pickup spots for our fighters, which are the gray tokens. We have 5 of each. The remaining tiles, or tokens, were put in these 2 stacks here, and they will come out later in the game. The player setup, each player will have a pool of castle pieces in their color. They will have influence tokens of their color, and they will have this. Now, this is probably the most important part of the whole game. This is their programming board. Now, each one of these wheels I don't know if you can see. Each one of these wheels will spin. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 different things that you can choose from. And you're going to see how there's 6 of them. So there's 6 different actions that you're going to be taking each round of the game. So this is a very important piece. We'll go into more depth with what each one of these things does a little bit later. There's also the first player token and the cardboard token of my color. We also have player shields that have a little bit of information on the inside here, which I'll go over in a second. In the middle of the board, there is a little castle keep, which I will talk about later as well. So that is how you set up a 4-player game of Lords of Xidit. 5-player game would be the exact same. Alright, the game of Lords of Xidit is going to be played over 12 rounds, and each round is going to consist of a player taking 6 actions. Now, they're going to be programming simultaneously their actions on their own player board. Let's take a closer look at what some of these actions are. The first action a player can do is this yellow X, and it means simply to wait. You do nothing. You don't move, you don't kill any monsters, you don't pick up any fighters, you just wait. The next action a player can do are these green arrows, and that means take an action. Now, an action is defined as 2 different things in this game. An action can be to pick up a fighter, or it could be to kill a monster on a spot that you are currently on. The next thing that you can program yourself to do is to move. The black line means that you will move along the black line from where you are. There is also a red line, which is the same thing. You'll take the red path. And there is a, you guessed it, a blue line, which lets you follow the blue line from where you are. Those are the 5 main actions that you can take 6 separate times on each turn. So you are going to be looking at the situation on the board and programming your player board here to move your piece to get to a place to either pick up workers or to kill a monster. Alright, so let's go over the scoring. At the end of the game, players are going to be eliminated in 3 different rounds of scoring. Okay, this is a pretty unique way of determining the winner of the game. These are decided randomly before the game begins, so that every player knows what's the scoring situation is going to be like at the end of the game. This says that the player who has the least amount of castle pieces on the board will be eliminated. So, for example, let's say that blue has the fewest amount of castle pieces on the board. In the first round of our end game scoring, blue would be eliminated, flipped over, and he would not be able to win the game. Then he would also flip over here and flip over here because he is out. Then the second round of scoring would happen. The 3 players that made it into this round would compare the amount of gold they have. The player with the least amount of gold is out. Let's say yellow didn't have enough gold. And the final round of scoring in this game is going to be whichever player has the most influence tokens on the board. So for example, it would be between red and green. Let's say green didn't have as many as red, and green would be out, leaving red the sole winner of the game. Now this is an interesting way of scoring things because blue may have been eliminated first, and he very well could have had the most gold if he was still in. And he very well could have had the most influence tokens if he was still in. So the way I explain this to the people that I teach this to is you don't necessarily want to have the most of anything, but you definitely don't want to have the least of anything. Okay, so before you start, you're going to have to seed all of the pickup areas with the matching colored people. This token will require 1 orange, 1 purple, 1 gray, and 2 greens. So we're going to put them on here like this. It's a little tedious, but you get the hang of it. And you're going to do the same for all of the other starting pickup areas. You don't have to put anything on the monster tiles, even though they have little symbols here. Those symbols show you which fighter color you must have to defeat this monster. So this monster here would require one green person to be spent to defeat it. After you set up your board like that, you are ready to play. Starting with the first player, everyone is going to actually simultaneously configure their board, and they're allowed to place their character anywhere they like on the board. Now, it can be on an empty space, it can be on a space occupied by people, or it can be a space occupied by monsters. The only rule is that you can't place it in the same spot as another person. So if I put my guy here, green will not be able to place his guy here to start off with. That's only true for the beginning of the game. Other than that, you are allowed to be on the same spot as other people. So let's put everybody out. I would highly suggest putting your characters on spots where there are actually things to do. So, there we go. Green starts here, yellow there, red here, and I'm over here. Then, all of us at the same time are going to be spinning these wheels to program the movement and actions that we want to take this turn. Once everyone is finished, everyone's going to reveal what they chose, and everyone in turn order will start with their first action, complete it. So I would do my number one, green would do his number one, yellow would do his number one, and red would do his number one. Then we would come back and I would start number two. 2, 2, 2. Then I would do 3, 3, 3, 3, until we've done 6 of these things. After we've done 6 of those, we will then move the marker down one space and do that 12 more times to see who wins. Now, what are you trying to do in this game? You are trying to pick up these fighters to then slay these monsters. So let's say I had picked up a green guy and I wanted to go fight this monster here. I would have to spend my green fighter, send him back to the pool, and I would have defeated this monster. Hooray! Now when I defeat a monster, I get to take rewards. Along the top here, you'll see 3 different choices of rewards. And it's up to me which 2 I would like to take. I can't take all 3, I can't take just 1, I have to take 2. So it's my choice. I can choose to take 2 castle pieces, I can take 2 gold pieces, or I can put down 1 influence token. Now this came from spot number 7, which is over here. So if I were to say I was to take the 2 castle pieces and the 1 influence token, well, I would take 2 of my castle pieces in blue, and I would put them on the matching castle space for this spot. Now that's super important that I do that, because castles, if you can remember, are the first trial in my scoring. So when I put these down, I'm putting myself in the lead, which is good. And that's public knowledge. I can look around the board and see that no one else has any castles, so right now I'm in the lead. And I also chose to take the influence token. I'm going to take 1 of these, and I'm allowed to place it in any adjacent area from where I killed this monster. So I could put it here, I could put it here, whoops, or I could put it here. Those are 3 adjacent spots. And if you look in each of the spots, you'll see an influence symbol with a number on the top and the bottom. They each have that. 4, 2, 3, 2. At the end of the game, the person who has the majority of influence tokens in this area will earn 3 points for my influence, which, if you remember, is the 3rd criteria. So that's also an important one to have. So if I have the majority at the end of the game of influence tokens here, I would get 3 points for that. And second player would get 1. Now, once I place my castle pieces here in this spot, no one else can play castle pieces here. That means if later on in the game, green decides he wants to kill a monster in this spot, he wouldn't be able to take this reward. He would have to take the gold and the influence action. So that's very important. You want to get those castles out there early in the game to kind of claim those territories. Now, if I go back there and I kill a monster, I can add on to my castle, but no one else can. So that's important to know. Now, if at any time all of the people are gone off of one of these tiles, it's removed, and a new one comes out. And you can see ahead of time which one is getting ready to come out. So I would have known that 8 would have been the next one. So I could have kind of planned my turn to guess that somebody was going to take the last guys off there, and then I might move towards space 8 in hoping that I could pick up a guy. Now, picking up fighters has to be done in a certain order. So if I go to a spot that has people and I want to pick one up to recruit, I have to follow this flowchart here. If there's an orange person on that spot, I have to take him first. If there's no orange people, I could take green. If there's no green, I could take gray, and so on and so forth, making purple the rarest one. Now let's look at that. Let's see what that means. That means if I go to this spot and I use the pickup action, which again is that green arrow. So if I go to spot 10 and I use that action, I would have to take orange. I couldn't take purple, I couldn't take green, I couldn't take gray. I have to take orange. Man, I am really killing these guys here. So I'm stuck taking this one. Now I may or may not wanted that one. And that's where the wait action comes into play. I could move my guy here, and let's say I think yellow is going to come here too. I might use a turn to just wait. What if I wanted a green guy? And I want to wait. Hopefully yellow will take the orange guy away first. So then when I do my action, I could take the green guy. Okay? So there's a little game that you have to play with all the other people, keeping an eye on where they are. Now, this is just like other programming games where you can plan out the best move ever, and someone might come and get one step ahead of you and mess you up. That's just the name of the game. It's not as hurtful as it is like in Robo Rally or stuff like that, but it does sting for a little bit. But you get over it. Alright, so what do I think of Lords of Xidit? I think it's probably one of the best programming games that I've ever played. I hate games like Robo Rally, where you plan everything out and one little thing can kill you. Just knock you out of the game pretty much. This game is pretty forgiving. There's 12 rounds. If you get screwed up for a couple of little moves, it's not a big deal. I would highly, highly recommend this game, especially if you like pick up and deliver. It's not very thematic. It's pretty art though. You are kind of getting the feeling of you're going out adventuring, picking up helpers to help you slay these monsters. But in the end, it's just a regular programming game that has cool mechanics and interesting player interaction. I can kind of mess with this person, but not totally mess him up for the whole game. So it's not that frustrating. If I'm going to play a programming game, it's going to be this one. So that being said, this has been Adolph with Table Flippers, and I will see you on the flip side.